My mom is an immigrant born and raised in Cameroon. So she was working in America while I was living in Cameroon. 2009, we came back.
To visit again, right?
To visit again. And that's when we were like, yeah, we want to stay, you know? I didn't really like it too much in Cameroon. At that point, I wanted to be with my mom as a young kid. The opportunity in America is so unlimited. Anyone can win. It's just what's in your mind and how you approach it. I always knew I was gonna be working for myself. I was like 17, 18. I always knew. I don't know what it was, but I saw in the American culture the repetitiveness of life, which means go to school, work a job, right? Pay off your loans, and then you keep doing the same thing forever and just doing that. And my first job was also door-to-door sales. That's the first thing I did.
Which industry?
This was fiber. I was selling for Verizon. We're getting people to switch over from Comcast or whatever they had and switch them over. I switched it, and I was like, cool, I'm just gonna go after door-to-door people because I know their lifestyle. I've done the job. I know what it takes to be successful. I was you, and I knew if I can help them have more energy, be better mentally. Overall, not only gonna make more money, they're gonna show up better for the people around them.
100%.
That's the most important piece, the energy, the feeling good.
From our experience back then, you have to put in the hours, and sometimes it comes at the opportunity cost of your own health. And so I want to try and figure out, like, what are ways that you've implemented for those demanding hours for sales reps to try and end up becoming a bit more healthy along the way?
Yeah, great question. And a lot of people, they ask me this too. Because you don't start out figuring it out. The more people I've trained, the more I find.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Code to Winning. Insights you need today to seize the world tomorrow. Yet again, we are still continuing on our Arizona AZ tour. We have an amazing and special guest, my brother and friend. He goes by the name of Kelvin Tata. He is the owner of Knock Fit University. He's also the CEO of Strive for Sales. He is the #1 online D2D fitness coach in the country right now. And like I said, he has got so much of insight, especially as an entrepreneur working remotely, helping a lot of D2D reps get onto the right mentality, strive for their fitness, and continue to produce in sales. So without further ado, my friend, an amazing entrepreneur, and one outstanding person and human being, Kelvin Coach Tata.
Yes, thanks for having me,
brother. How you doing, brother?
Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
Thank you for such a short notice. I understand you have a very, very crazy schedule, but the fact that you kind of like, put us within your schedule means a lot to me as well, boss.
Of course, for sure.
Awesome. I want to kind of like get a brief introduction of you, your upbringing, where you're from, and how you end up like starting in this field as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. It's very, very interesting story sell, as my fellow salespeople will know. But yeah, my mom is an immigrant born and raised in Cameroon. So she was working in America while I was living in Cameroon. And backstory to that, my dad originally started working here in America, right, while we were still in Cameroon with my mom at that time. And then, he would come to visit sometimes. So I didn't see him often. I would see him from time to time. I think he was in like the agriculture field. So he was like mainly in America, who come back and then go and come back, travel all the time. And he passed away in America.
Your dad? Yeah,
so he got sick. I don't know exactly. No, so he passed away. He got sick in America, passed away in Cameroon.
Okay.
Right. So when he came back, it was one summer. He was sick. I was pretty sure we think it was diabetes or something. But he passed away when I was like 6 years old. So I really wasn't that aware of things. That, I lost my dad and how it would affect me. But my mom ended up moving to America when my dad passed away. Right. So she was living in America without us for 5 years. I have 3 brothers. She moved to America. We're staying in Cameroon with my aunt, family on my dad's side. My mom's working, building herself up in order to like bring us here. Right. So this is 5 years going on. She's like working. We came to visit one time. We went back. And then the second time we came to visit, we wanted to stay.
When was the first time you visited? Which year was it?
2007.
Okay.
So yeah, that was in 2007. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old at the time. And we went back, and then 2009, we came back.
To visit again, right?
To visit again. And that's when we were like, yeah, we want to stay. You know, I didn't really like it too much in Cameroon. At that point, I wanted to be with my mom as a young kid. So we wanted to stay. My mom let us stay. Got into school. Started here in 5th grade. That was my first, schooling I went to in America, 5th grade here. So, you know, doing the whole thing, I have to adapt to America, you know, the new way of living, friends, the food, adapt to everything.
Okay. And then did you speak English when you came?
Yes.
Okay. But you also have, I think, isn't it Cameroon French speaking, or is it both?
Yeah, it's both speaking.
Okay.
So I'm from the English speaking side.
Okay.
But we were learning French in school. I just didn't get to the point where I was fluent because I was 6 years old at that time. So I didn't learn it for that longer period of time to be able to be like, okay, I'm fluent in French.
Okay.
Right.
You realize you left at the wrong time because Cameroon just won the AFCON around that time with the prime team of Samuel Eto'o and all those people.
Yeah.
And he also won the treble 2009.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, he's one of the, in my opinion, the greatest African player to ever play.
I think he is.
Mo Salah might take over in the next few years, but like Samuel Eto'o is up there.
Yeah. Maybe if Mo Salah, what has he won? He's won the Champions League.
Won the Champions League, Premier League, top goal scorer.
African Nations Cup, did they win?
No, he lost to
Senegal,
Sadio Mane.
I mean, yeah.
So as soon as he wins that, maybe you can compete because he won 2 trebles in a row.
Yeah.
So you won with Barca and you won with Inter. So
yeah, that's hard to beat.
that's
you probably have to put Didier Drogba up there too as well. Obviously,
I know.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that was the final. I think you won was against Didier Drogba in penalties.
In Man City?
Oh no,
Chelsea.
Côte d'Ivoire versus Cameroon.
Interesting. Yeah.
I could be wrong.
You could be.
Or you knocked them out. I think you won a 1 against Senegal 2004. That sounds familiar, right?
We won one recently when I was here, but I don't know how many years ago was that.
Okay.
I don't know how many years ago. So you have to dig into that history.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I think you resided in Baltimore?
Yeah. So when we moved here, when we decided to stay, it was Bel Air, Maryland.
Okay.
At that point. So it's more urban. It wasn't like, my mom was a nurse. So she was making, you know, decent money at the time. So we were living in Bel Air, Maryland. Went to school, 5th grade. And it's weird because the white people were the nicest people to me. Right? They were a lot more welcoming. They wanted to understand my culture. Right? They were more patient with me. And Black Americans were the more racist ones. So, you know, when people talk about that thing here in America, it's weird. It was weird to see it because it's like, I look like you guys. How are you guys more arrogant to me than other people that don't look like me? You know, and that shaped my mind a lot when people talk about racism and all these things. I'm not like, I just see people for people. Yes, you see color overall, but till you talk to somebody and actually get to know them, you're not really going to know what's really in their heart. Mm-hmm. Right, so that's a segue. So I have a different approach than a Black person who's born here, and I think a lot of Africans do too as well.
Okay, no, right? it's amazing you mentioned that. They made a statistic actually recently came out that the most successful Black group in America are Nigerian immigrants. Obviously, they come per capita. They made a study saying that because they come as immigrants, you often have a chip on your shoulder to try and completely succeed without a shadow of doubt. And I feel like obviously they come in numbers, but they usually either go for like the engineering, doctor, like mathematician. They kind of go for those fields.
Absolutely.
And like Wall Street, or you still go for like Silicon Valley, both East Coast, West Coast, and also like entrepreneurial space, like what we and I have been doing, those sales as well. So they often say that immigrants often do have a chip on their shoulder, and you have no choice but to succeed, including my best friend sitting there from Australia as well, and even Pascal.
Yep.
So this is the room of immigrants, you know what I'm saying? In America, pursuing the American dream.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is understanding the opportunity that you do have, because if you're born here, you can be blinded by how privileged you are. There's a stat that goes around. If you make $32,000 in a year, you're in the top 1% of people in the whole wide world. Yeah. Whole wide world. And then to think about people in America, dude, you're making 50, 60K, whatever. You have a house. You know, you have food. You know where you can sleep the next day. And you still wake up and you're complaining. when you're in definitely the greatest country of all in the world because of the opportunity that it is here. How free you are to do what you want to do. Anyone can wake up and build a business. And you can come from any place and come to this country and build a business and build a successful life. You don't get that opportunity in other countries. So that's why when I hear people complain about America, I'm going to leave. I'm like, you're not even grateful for what you have going on right here. Yes, we understand all the things that are happening in the world, but the opportunity in America is so unlimited. Anyone can win. It's just what's in your mind and how you approach it.
I love that. And I think it's important to know that mindset plays a big role as well. Because if you have the unlimited belief, knowing that, listen, even with my current situation, it doesn't limit me to go to the next step and the next level as well. Because when we have unlocked potential, unlimited potential, which means nothing is stopping us from going from this step to the next step as well. And I often say, it's going to sound super bad. I don't want to kind of come out bad, but I don't have like sympathy for the lazy person, because you can literally go out there and do anything to make money. Anything. If you're really broke, you can go maybe start DoorDash temporarily until you get out of the situation. Then maybe upgrade to like an Uber. Then maybe do a medical study. Or I'm just giving a variety of different examples because it doesn't limit you from just being at a certain specific situation, because everything can be temporary till you find something comfortable. What are your thoughts on that?
I wholeheartedly agree. And I understand the other side of people who are born in tougher situations. Yes, if you were born in the projects, you might have it harder to be successful. If you were born in a family that, maybe they were drug addicts or alcoholics or lots of trauma, dysfunctional household, yes, it might be tougher for you to be successful. Just because your road is harder doesn't mean you can't do it. Now it's like, it's your mindset, because your situation, that doesn't dictate your life. What you do about it dictates your life. You've seen people that were raised in an alcoholic household or something that's very abusive, but then they still decided in their mind that this situation is not going to take control over what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let this moment, I'm not going to let the season of my life ruin my purpose and my potential. So I think it's a decision in your mind to be like, cool, I know I can do it. And you can either use your story to be the excuse for why you don't go ahead and accomplish your goal, or you can use your story to fuel your goals, right? And I think that's where immigrants tie back in. Our story fuels the purpose, right? We know where we came from. We know how hard it is. We know how hard our parents worked. We've seen them work. Now, we know we have an easier path to be successful, right? So what is there to complain about? Right, so I think it's a environmental shift and a mindset shift, because you can complain or you can go win. I like winning. Quote to winning. That's what I like.
There's a mic drop right there. It's just imaginary, but just pretend it just dropped right there. You know what I'm saying? Now I want to talk. I love that, man. It's these are my favorite conversations. I love stories, and like I said, I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity for you to come in the studio today. I want to talk about also like when you started off. For sure. I noticed we have a lot of mutual friends, especially in the door-to-door space as well. And you being the #1 fitness coach, especially for door-to-door, like reps. Can you just talk about like your entrepreneurial journey even before you started that, how things started off for you?
Great. Yeah. For some reason, I always knew I was going to be working for myself. I was like 17, 18. I always knew. I don't know what it was, but I saw in the American culture the repetitiveness of life, which means go to school, work a job, right? Pay off your loans, and then you keep doing the same thing forever and just doing that. So I kind of understood that I didn't want to live that kind of lifestyle. And I also saw my mom working super, super hard. And I was like, there's just no way this is life right here. This is not like you work this much and then you barely have time to spend with your family. And then they tell you what to do with your life, when to clock in, when you can take vacations. You could only maybe take vacations twice a year. So right then and there at 17, 18, I was already talking to my friends like, there's no way I'm not working. We used to say this thing like, I'm not working for the white man or something like that, right? But it's like, I'm not going to be a slave.
Mentally.
Yeah, like mentally, I'm not going to be a slave. Even at my job, yes, your career can fuel, your passion or you to own your own thing. But that's not my end goal. So right then and there, 17, 18, I knew And then my first job was also door-to-door sales. That's the first thing I did.
Which industry?
This was fiber. I was selling for Verizon.
Okay.
We're getting people to switch over from Comcast or whatever they had, switch them over. So first job was door-to-door sales. Everything's commission. There's no one's, there's no hourly, right? If you don't work, you don't eat. So right then and there, I'm like, oh, this is a different ballgame. I'm hitting doors. People are cursing me out, slamming doors in my face. I'm like, oh, wow, this is different. Like nothing I ever saw. So I'm doing that, but I'm getting really good. I'm closing deals. I get promoted in 2 weeks to become a team leader because I was just naturally persistent. And door-to-door, a lot of stuff is just like being persistent and having a strong mind and not taking things personally. So it didn't faze me when people were being rude. I just kept going, and I had that persistence, and I was really good in door-to-door sales.
And where were you selling?
Like the specific place?
Yeah.
So this was back in it was in Maryland, right?
Okay.
We would be sometimes in Baltimore or.
Oh, but you were in the Maryland state.
Yeah, in the whole Maryland.
Okay.
Or we do a blitz. You know how they do blitzes,
Yeah.
like 10-day. Yeah. So I did fiber for 2 years. After I did fiber, I went over to roofing. Right, I did roofing sales for another 2 years. I didn't really like that experience because of the leadership that was there. But I was doing door-to-door throughout college. I was doing sales throughout college. I've done all types of sales. I was doing brand ambassador stuff where you go into, grocery stores and you kind of sell stuff. I've done retail sales. I was recruiting drivers for Lyft. I sold a bunch of different things. Excuse me. But yeah, I've been in sales my whole life, so all I know is really sales. But once I graduated, and I was trying to chase my, sorry, I graduated and I was like, well, I'm not going to any more school. I knew that for sure. Once I graduated, I was like, there's just no way you're going to catch me going to get another degree or, going to get my master's. I'm like, I don't see the point.
When you say graduate, you mean college, right?
Yeah.
Which college you go to?
I went to 2 different colleges.
Okay.
This was Frostburg. I went to Frostburg for 2 years. And I went to Towson University for 2 years.
Okay.
So once I graduated from Towson, I was working sales still. I was doing retail sales. At that point, I was working for Verizon, but it was actually in the store. It was okay. I just hated it. Hourly, it wasn't fulfilling. So I was like, I got to do something different. Dang. Let me chase my passion for fitness. So I just quit that job. I started working at Anytime Fitness gym. I was like, at least I like doing this. At least I like the fitness aspects and talking to people and training people. It's hands-on. I was doing that. I get bored with things really quickly. Once I've learned everything I can, it's just like, I need to learn something new. Because once I'm not learning anything, it's just like, okay, what am I doing? Like, I'm not learning any new skill. Mm-hmm. So doing that, and I kept seeing these ads to do online training. Keep in mind, once I was working at Anytime Fitness, I was also building my own business at the same time, which is kind of illegal because this is non-compete.
Conflict of interest, right?
Yeah, but I was training people on the side on my own at that time still. Like I was training, COVID hit, I was training people in my house. I was training people outside. I was trying to figure out the online stuff. I already knew I was going to do online. I was just trying to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And I kept seeing an ad, hey, we can help you do this. Hey, we can help you do this. Finally, I just took a chance. I was like, you know what? Let me just apply and book a call. Booked a call. They told me the program was $10,000. I only had $300 to my name. I gave it to them. That's when kind of my online fitness journey started. And I was learning the business side while still, doing the in-person, kind of learning everything and figuring out who I wanted to work with.
Was that a course that you were doing?
It was a course in mentorship.
Okay.
Mentorship.
All right.
Invest in yourselves, people. Right? That's the quickest way to get somewhere is to pay somebody who's already done it or help somebody or they've helped somebody do it. If you think you're going to do it on your own, that's going to take you a lot of time, energy, and frustration. I'll just say that.
Love that.
Right, but I paid, and it was a course, it was mentorship, and then I was learning that. I was trying to figure out a niche. Like, first, can you believe my niche was models, skinny models? That was my focus at first. I wanted to help skinny models. And then one of my mentors asked me, he was like, well, what have you done your whole life? What do you have experiences? What do you know? I was like, well, I've done door-to-door sales. I love sales. He's like, why not go after them? I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense because I remember how hard it was to stay consistent with my health and fitness while I was in door to door. So I switched it. I was like, cool, I'm just gonna go after door to door people because I know their lifestyle. I've done the job. I know what it takes to be successful. I was you. And I knew if I can help them have more energy, be better mentally, they're overall not only going to make more money, they're going to show up better for the people around them.
100%.
That's the most important piece. The energy, the feeling good, the being there to help your family out, showing up for your wife, showing up for your kids. That's my mission, not more so the money. The money is just a byproduct of consistently showing up and leading yourself. And then
100%.
Everything else kind of falls into place. So I took my passion for fitness, my sales experience, and combined it together, and they birthed the niche. Right now, we still help door-to-door salespeople, but now we're going after all salespeople. Because I had a conversation with God. It was kind of like, why are you limiting yourself to only
100%.
door-to-door sales? You can help everyone who's in sales.
Awesome, man. I love that so much. And I love the fact that it was easy for you to go to something that you've done before. So it's easily relatable, because sometimes people jump into a specific niche and then they'll learn along the way.
Yeah.
Whereas you already knew the door-to-door. You already know the lifestyle is a very demanding lifestyle.
Yep.
You know that it's because it's 1099s. People are working for themselves. If you don't make money, you don't eat kind of mentality. And because of that form of lifestyle, it's often extremely demanding hours as well.
Yeah.
I mean, from our experiences, obviously right now I do remote sales, but from our experience back then, you have to put in the hours, and sometimes it comes at the opportunity cost of your own health.
Yeah.
And so I want to try and figure out, like, what are ways that you've implemented for those demanding hours for sales reps to try and end up becoming a bit more healthy along the way?
Yeah, great question. And a lot of people ask me this too. It's because you don't start out figuring it out, right? The more people I've trained, the more I fine-tune the strategies, because I start to see the same problems over and over again. Right, so over time, I've trained a lot of people, and the strategies are very simple. If I could coin this in one term, I would say sustainability. That would be the term I would give it. Because if you understand that you're working 7 days a week, some people knock 7 days a week, some people it's 6, and you understand that, hey, I'm going to need to be up at 8 o'clock. My morning meetings from 10 to 11 or 12. We do the morning meeting. We knock in the field for like 8 hours. Okay, cool. I have this, this is my lifestyle. All right.
Okay.
So now how can we make fitness fit into that lifestyle? So it's a very custom approach to each individual, because some individuals have kids. Some people have kids. They have 3 kids, right? They're married and they're doing door to door. Some people are just single and they're doing door to door.
So obviously different lifestyles for different people. Okay.
A different structure. Right, so how do we make it fit? Well, how much time do you have available to allocate to working out? Minimum is 3 days a week, 30 minutes. Everyone has 3 days a week for 20 to 30 minutes. So the first part is, let's make the workout structure fit your life in terms of time, in terms of frequency, right? And in terms of the structure. Right? Are you doing full body, upper body, lower body? How quick are your workouts? How short are your workouts? What are you trying to work on as well? Are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to lose fat? Are you trying to do both at the same time? So taking all that into account, extracting data from that person that I'm going to be helping to see what's actually going on in their life. Why is it tough for them to be consistent? And then I come in, I'll put the strategies after I examine what's going on in your life.
No, that makes perfect sense.
That's on the workout side. Nutrition side is the most important thing. Now, again, it's teaching people how to make nutrition fit the whole lifestyle, because meal plans for a lot of people don't work. It can work, but if you're someone that's on the go, constantly moving, it's going to be hard to be like, hey, here's a meal plan, here's a piece of paper, follow that. You're going to be like, what the heck? What happens when I'm traveling with my team? What happens when I'm eating dinner out with my family, celebrating on Thanksgiving? All these other scenarios that are actually part of life that you need to be prepped for. And then I teach the guys, okay, cool. Here's what you can do in these certain scenarios. Here's what you could do when you're knocking in the middle of nowhere and you don't have a gas station. Here are the options you can get, right? Here's how you can structure your meals in a whole day if you're knocking 10 to 12 hours. Here's what you can do in the morning. Here's what you can do during the day. Here's what you can do at night. Okay, cool. On top of that, what are your dietary preferences? So we make sure what I'm telling you to do matches what you actually like to do.
Wow.
So you can actually execute.
I love that. And I think you mentioned something I liked a lot earlier on. You said everyone's got at least 3 days a week. Now, the reason I want to say this, I look at Elon Musk, owner, CEO, Tesla, X, all these different stuff. But that brother is tweeting 24/7.
Yep.
There's no excuse for nobody because we have a phone and we can all make time for something as well. If Elon Musk can tweet right now.
He's probably tweeting right now. Yeah, he tweeted right now.
I have no excuse for anybody. The reason I want to get to it, I think accountability is so important, right?
For sure.
But I also like one thing I want to talk about. You said nutrition is actually far more important than the workout. And I love that because I think people don't fully. I've seen people that literally go to the gym, but before you know it, they head back to McDonald's and they get like another shake and they get that thing. How important? Can you stress on the importance of like just getting macros, calories, and the nutrition side of things?
Yes, and there's two angles because you got the people who are super extreme, track everything. I'm writing it down. I got my, I'm measuring it. I'm getting it down to the freaking T. And then you can have the more portion control, relaxed approach. So nutrition, we already know it's, people say 80%, I say 90% of your results. If you're going to miss the gym, at least eat well that day, right? So the approach you take is going to depend on the goals that you want to accomplish. If I want to get a 6-pack and be in elite shape in the top 5%, I'm going to have to do elite things. That means tracking your foods, hitting your macros down to the T because you want a 6-pack, right? That's the importance of macros. They're going to determine how you look, right? So if you want to be in a super elite shape, you're going to have to get on tracking, right? Well, if someone who wants to lose weight, let's say they want to lose 50 pounds, or starting out, they don't really have to track that religiously because they have maybe that much weight to lose. They can make small changes. Maybe it's cutting out sugar. Maybe it's instead of having 3 meals a day, now you just have 2 meals a day. Or maybe you cut down your portion sizes of your meals, right? Instead of having a big portion, maybe just remove carbs and you have more protein and fats. So there's many strategies that you can do based on what you want to accomplish. It just doesn't fit your life, and are you going to do it consistently? But just understand, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get to your goals. Now it's just a matter of you to decide and commit in your own brain that you want to do what it takes. Because people tell me, I want a 6-pack. Great. You want a 6-pack? You want to be in the top 10% of people in the world? Perfect. Here's the blueprint for you to get a 6-pack, brother. Here are your macros. Here's what you're going to have to hit. Here's how many days you're going to have to work out. And then here's how you can incorporate cardio. And here's how we make everything fit your lives. And we'll map it out for you. Are you willing to do the work? That's the real question now, all right? So nutrition, to answer the question, nutrition is super, super important. It's just about, is this person ready to commit in their mind that they're going to make sacrifices to look how they want to look?
I love that. You just literally gave an example of an interview I watched of my favorite athlete, Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know if you've seen that interview. Yeah. He's like...
Messi's better, by the way.
Let's end the interview now. We're not going to do this right now. I'm joking. But just to get back to it, he's like, people want to be Cristiano Ronaldo. Mm-hmm. People love Cristiano Ronaldo. Mm-hmm. I give you the blueprint, but will you do the work? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he's the 39-year-old guy who is still, obviously not performing at what he used to perform at Real Madrid, but the fact that he's super healthy and super consistent, dropping 50 goals a year, like it just shows that there is no cheat code to it. The blueprint has been given there. People just don't end up like prioritizing and following through, right?
Yeah, it's anything in life. No one's hiding the code to success. It's just a lot of people aren't willing to do the work and sustain the time it takes. You know, you don't build something great. I'm sure you know this. It's not 1 year, 2 years. Sometimes it takes 5 years, 10
100%.
years. So are you willing to, stick with it?
Love that. The next question I want to ask, you've done door-to-door, and towards the end of the summer, it's something it's a crazy occurrence where often a lot of sales reps experience burnout as well, and which leads to next question: how do you end up your fitness plan ends up prioritizing the health of reps to try and prevent burning out as well?
Great question. We take into account how frequent they're working out versus their lifestyle outside of working out, and then also tackle feeling. It's the most important thing. How are you feeling there's a checklist of questions I asked them, like, okay, how much water did you drink? How well are you sleeping? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your energy levels? So these questions would kind of tell me where they're at. And then from there, we dive into the nutrition, because everything, almost 100% of the time, comes back into what you're putting into your body. Right? So let's say during the day, for example, I had this one guy, he was like, Coach, I'm always tired during the hours of 2 and 5. Like, I always get this, this sluggishness. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what have you been eating during those hours? Like, what are you actually doing during 2 and 5? Find out he was eating a lot of carbs, right? And I told him, hey, you need to cut down the carbs, because what that's doing is it's spiking up your glucose level quickly, but then you have a crash. That's why you feel that burnout. So he literally cut down carbs, and notice how he had more energy. So let's say they're going later on in the season. It's data. It's all data, because we're keeping track on a week-to-week basis in order to make changes for the next week. So it's not like we just wait till burnout comes and you're like, oh, what do we do now? It's like we were keeping track all this while to see how your body was reacting to things.
Okay. Now that's powerful.
So it's just what gets tracked gets managed. It's the same thing with the sales approach. You go throughout, you're crushing it, and then your sales starts falling off, right? Maybe your sales manager might ask you, well, are you knocking that many doors still like you were in the beginning? How many people are you talking to out in the field? Well, of course, no wonder you're dropping sales. So when I start asking you, well, have you been eating, how's your nutrition been the last week? Yeah, did you get your protein in? Did you drink enough water? Right? Did you eat fruits and vegetables? I start asking these things, and you hear the answers. They're like, no, I didn't do this. Well, dude, no wonder you're tired all the time. No wonder you're stressed. You're not doing these basic things to take care of your energy. Obviously, there are other things like supplements. We can get into the whole science of their gut health and what's going on inside their body when they go get a blood test protocol. But I do that up front to know what kind of person I'm dealing with, and tell them the right supplements that they can take and things to improve energy. There's many strategies in between that we can figure out. Like, for example, hey, if you want to increase your energy in the morning, you do something like, hey, put some water with some Himalayan pink salt, cayenne pepper with MCT oil, chew some ginger. So there's other, I would say, wellness, holistic strategies that I can tell them to help them combat burnout.
Okay, man. Wow, this is very educational, bro.
Yeah.
I just lost one question. You're giving me a whole degree for it, bro.
I love this stuff, as you can tell.
I love that.
I'm really passionate about it.
I love that so much. Now, personally, for me, I'll just the one help that maybe some viewers may be experiencing. It's not necessarily I've studied the importance of deep sleep.
Yeah.
And sleep is so important.
Yes.
And I don't have a consistency of like proper deep sleep. Are there ways that people can try and get into a healthy habit of sleeping? Obviously, you can set a time. I sleep at the time, wake up at the time. But the older I get, the more I seem to appreciate sleep a bit more, and I don't sleep often. So I want to. Can you touch a bit on that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I can give you multiple practical strategies. First one, I would say for people, is making sure they're not looking at a screen before bed, at least like an hour, ideally 2. Right? You don't. Because you're essentially telling your brain that it's still daytime. Your brain thinks it's still daytime, so it's never going to end up falling asleep. So you want the room to be dark, right? Keep the room cool, like above room temperature. It's good to sleep in a cool room. You take a hot shower too before that. What the hot shower does is relaxes your body, relaxes your mind, relaxes your nervous system, right? Magnesium is also good for that. That's going to help relax your nervous system, to help you calm down your brain. For a lot of people who are at nighttime, their brain is just running around. Calm down your brain. That can help you sleep as well. Hot tea. Chamomile tea has melatonin in it. That's good for sleeping, right? And there's some glasses that you can wear, which is also good for sleeping. So there's many things that you can do to combat, your sleep schedule, help make or maximize, sleeping as well. And what's the other thing called? The Whoop. Tracks your sleep, how much REM sleep you're actually getting. If you're really, really serious about sleep, I would get the Whoop.
Okay.
Right, you can track how much REM sleep you're getting, so you can see between the hours, like when you're waking up, or how much deep sleep you're getting. and just kind of go based of that.
I love that.
You need the data to be able to change things.
I love that. I love that so much. And currently, right now, you do both in person and online, right?
I do only online. People
Okay.
ask me about in person. I don't do any more in person.
Okay.
But unless it's like if someone wants me to train them, they have to have a certain status for me, and like a certain package for me to come into your house and train you.
Okay.
But that's rare.
And it's different programs, right, that people end up jumping into? Is it like a yearly program? How?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the goal. Well, all my programs start at 6 months, and then I also have a year. But it depends on if someone wants to lose 100 pounds. Dude, we're not going to do that in 6 months. Come on now. We need at least a year together.
Awesome. And then personally for that, and what are the most significant transformations that you have personally seen from the people that you've coached?
Yeah, I've helped some guy lose 125 pounds in a year and a half. I helped another guy. He's still in my program right now, Chuck. He's lost 75 pounds. Took the company, got rid of diabetes. Took his roofing company from like, I think 13 million to 75 million, right? Just from prioritizing his health and taking care of himself. Relationship got better. There's another guy in my program, Brian. Right now, he's lost 15 pounds. Looks a lot leaner. His son is also going to the gym with him. His son has lost 15 pounds. Helped another door-to-door guy, Jack Peacock, triple his sales. I helped another door-to-door guy double his sales. So, like, I tell guys, hey, you can literally make more money without even getting better at sales by just focusing on this one simple thing that I'm telling you to. Because it's just going to change your energy. And sales is all about energy. You can learn all the scripts you want in the world. You can listen to all the motivational hype videos. But when you show up on that call, when you show up to that doorstep, you don't have the energy, people will feel that. It's not about being excited. Oh my God, I'm here to help you. No, it's about having an energy of intention. I'm here. I have a purpose. I want to help you. This is a thing. I can communicate that to you clearly and have the mental clarity too. Because if you're tired, you get that mental fog, right? The self-doubt starts creeping in. And then you don't execute and perform at your best. But when you take care of yourself, the other end is, hey, dude, you have unlimited amount of energy. You can show up for others. You're more relaxed. You can solve problems better, right? You're not going to react as easily because you just feel better. And you want to pass on that good energy to others. I think that's my God-given skill. Shout out Jesus, by the way. Nothing would be possible without God.
Awesome stuff, man.
Representing Jesus.
I love that, brother. I love that so much. I don't want to take. I know we have about probably 9 minutes, and I want to respect your time as well. And I want to ask just a few questions.
For sure.
You stressed on something that I loved so much. Towards the beginning, you were talking about just the importance of coaching. There's often a big misconception right now in this world about coaching. What are some of the misconceptions that are out there that you feel like you want to debunk right now and just stress on the importance of coaching?
Ooh, the biggest one, I would say, even people think they can do it on their own. So I don't know if that's a myth, but people feel like they don't need a coach. But then there's the other side of things where in such a coaching role, there are coaches who are leading people astray or who don't actually know how to coach. So that's what I'm seeing right now in the coaching industry. Either people think they don't need a coach, they can do it on their own, or they have a bad taste in their mouth from previous coaches that they've worked with. And I've had my own fair share of experiences. I don't know what the middle is, but the two things I'm seeing is, I don't need a coach, I can figure it out. I can do it on my own. Oh my God, I've had bad experiences with coaches. I really don't want to invest in another coach again. So the first part of it is, if you think you can do it on your own, here's my question for you. Did Michael Jordan do it on his own? Did Kobe do it on his own? Tell me any person that you know is successful, any idol that you look up to, and answer me this question. Did they have someone in the corner or not? Anyone that's successful has someone in the corner, no matter what they're doing. Acting, singing, dancing, teaching. It doesn't matter what you do. You're going to need someone to help you get there. You're going to need a group of people to help elevate you to that level. I
love that so much. And just to add on that, Michael Jordan, he not only did he have Phil Jackson, but he also had like people like Tim Grover.
Yeah.
And people don't fully understand that it's not even just like the coach that
Yeah.
oversees the team, but people have got like a sleep coach, have got a performance coach,
Yeah.
have got a shooting coach, have got these coaches.
Specific.
So when they say LeBron James spends $1 million on like himself, on his body, it's not just on his body, but it's delegated to just the variety of different coaches that are helping him maintain and also have that form of endurance and longevity in his career as well. So yeah, I love that so much. I love that more than anything.
Powerful, man.
Awesome. I also wanted to stress on a few things as well. We spoke about all these crazy mindset athletes. Obviously, I'm a LeBron fan, but we're not going to debate again. I heard you speak about like MJ and Kobe. So out of the sake of this interview and the fact that you took your time, I'll not mention my GOAT. We'll talk a bit about your GOAT as well. Like I would assume MJ is your GOAT.
No, he's not actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's Kobe, but I've watched the whole MJ thing. It was just very interesting because everything is just like sales, right? It's an emotional connection and the experience that people have with Jordan. Because if you were back in that time, even they can give you evidence that Kobe might be better if somehow they can. Just how Jordan made you feel, it's gonna outweigh any statistics that you see. When you see Jordan, how he changed the game,
The Last Dance and stuff, yeah.
You know, how new he was, the emotions he was evoking from people. That's the connection that people have with him. But my GOAT is Kobe because I lived in his era. I watched his games. I know how he made me feel when he hit the game-winning shots, when they won the championships. So my emotional connection is with Jordan. I mean, with Kobe.
And at the essence, what is sales? It is a transfer of energy as well from one person to another. And I couldn't agree more. Same thing with me. So when basketball started showing in South Africa, it was a time when LeBron was just about like winning from Cleveland to Miami. And so like when you first watch something, you relate to like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And regardless that like that 14-year span of watching him, obviously coming here, going to all, like most of his games when I could get the chance around like the Utah Jazz and so forth, you relate with what you can see and an era of which you belong to as well. So I love that so much. I want to talk a bit about like the mindset. How important is mindset, not only for sales, but also for fitness as well?
I think it's for everything. But if you want to tie it into fitness, it starts with belief in anything. If you don't have the belief that you can accomplish whatever you're setting your mind to or whatever you're wanting to accomplish, it's going to be pointless because the actions that you take won't align with the belief. Let's say I tell my team, I really care about health and fitness. I believe that everyone that comes on the team should be fit. But then I go ahead and I'm not hitting the gym. I'm not taking care of myself and I look sloppy. I'm saying I have a belief, but my actions don't align with my belief. So belief is everything. Because if you believe that you are a healthy person, you believe that you can get to the six-pack, your actions are going to match those beliefs. Right? Because you believe in the identity of who you are. Just like in anything you want to do. Let's say you have a goal of hitting a certain quota. I have a belief that I'm a good salesperson, or I believe that I'm going to hit this sales quota if I do the work. My actions are going to follow that. Right? So belief dictates what you do. No matter what area it's in. It starts with your mindset and what you actually believe about yourself to be true. Because whatever you believe about yourself to be true, you're going to consistently do things to validate those beliefs.
Wow. I love that, brother. I obviously had a few more questions, but I want to try and conclude and ask this last one. You literally have a training coming up in the next like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But like the entire purpose of me inviting guests is because they all have one thing in common. They're all winning in life, and they're winning in life because they're also winning in different areas, especially in business as well. The code to winning, like my motto is insights you need today to seize the world tomorrow. In your opinion, what is the definition of winning?
Ooh, in my opinion, I think winning is subjective. In my opinion, winning is having 10 out of 10 relationships with the people you love the most, enjoying life with those people, and you're actually proud of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. I think winning is all about relationships. Because you can have everything that you want, the materialistic stuff, the cars, the clothes, the money to travel. But if you don't have the people around you that you love to share it with, are you really winning? You might be winning in business. You might be winning in real estate and all these other things. But if you have no one to share it with, I don't consider that winning.
Powerful. Awesome stuff. Coach Tata, if you could let the guests and viewers know where they could get a hold of you, social media, your program, and all that kind of stuff, if you could just let us know where you can get a hold of you.
For sure. You can check me out on Instagram is the best way to reach out to me. If you're a sales pro, just DM me at Coach Tata _ So you're going to see the #1 sales coach. Well, the #1 fitness coach for sales pros. Right, send me a DM. You can ask me questions. You can find me on Facebook, Kelvin Tata, LinkedIn, YouTube, Coach Tata, TikTok, Coach Tata. But yeah, ask me any questions, sales, mindset, business, and I'd love to hear from you. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Tata. Thank you so much, Kelvin Tata. Appreciate your
you,
time,
brother.
bro.
This was fun.
Thanks.
We're going to start a business, a Savvy student card, a discount card. And the moment we passed the lines, the state lines, is the moment money stopped. And we had no food in our fridge. We were on food storage, if you know what food storage is. We couldn't pay our bills. We had no heat in our home. It was 45 degrees in our home. And I remember looking at my son and just putting sweatshirts over sweatshirts on him and sitting in front of a space heater because we had no heat and just bawling and just saying, I promise we will get through this. We will get through it. My dad turned to me and looked me dead in the eye and said, Tiff, I don't care what you do, you got to figure out how to get into real estate. We did end up finding a mentor that would help us learn how to analyze properties. So as we learned how to analyze properties, we found someone to loan to us. And when we did this, we realized there was a gap in the market between property managers that knew how to manage properties and people that really knew how to analyze and advise on buying properties and managing properties and building generational wealth.
Okay.
So that's how we got into it.
I love that. And what was the first real estate property investment that you guys made?
Oh my goodness, this was